Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today, well, it all looks pretty awful out there. Stocks are correcting, crypto is crashing, and if you've looked at your portfolio lately, you already know the pain. So we're seeing some brutal charts in the digital asset treasury space and crypto space. So companies like Strategy, which often serve as a leading indicator for the entire Bitcoin and crypto markets, are signaling trouble. But I think not everything is falling apart. Beneath the panic, there are a few very interesting signals from the altcoin side of the market, and those are worth paying attention to. So as always, we'll dive in using charts, real data, not hopium. So hit that like button, grab your coffee, and let's jump right in. Starting with the stock market, you see NASDAQ is in a correction mode, nothing unusual. We had a large candle yesterday to the downside. Futures are up again, but that doesn't mean anything. We have to watch the close. So that's a correction. Small caps, green candle here, but you see also had a correction there. While Nvidia had, I think, at the beginning, we had positive earnings results and market liked that, but then you see this ugly red candle here. So a lot of indecision or, huge intraday reversal, which speaks more for this AI fatigue, in my opinion, as of full-blown bear markets, especially when you look at GDP now data from the Atlanta Fed, it's at 4.2%, which is not recessionary, and also the year ahead inflation expectations are at 2.2%, which should be comfortable for the Fed. Now, due to the government shutdown, we are lacking data. Powell is hawkish. So interest rates probabilities for cutting is coming down. We are at 43% coming from 90. So I think that's moving the risk markets a lot. But I think overall, it shouldn't be the end of the world for stocks. Also, gold is consolidating, which is healthy. So I expect a triangle here, a wedge, right, which is a continuation pattern. So nothing dramatic here. But we have to watch the dollar, which is forming a rounding bottom. And of course, a higher dollar is not good for risk assets. So it would be nice if we can turn here. And that would be supportive for overall risk markets. Now, I started in the intro with MicroStrategy, and I have to say the chart looks ugly, just falling. And you can say it was a leading indicator, or it still is for Bitcoin. Also, if you relate strategy to the BlackRock ETF, Bitcoin ETF, you see it's underperforming Bitcoin since months. And what's happening there? And I have to explain more around strategy, because it owes around $760 million a year in fixed obligations. Yeah, most of that from 10% perpetual preferred dividends. So meanwhile, its core software business doesn't generate meaningful cash. So that means every dollar used to pay dividends or buy Bitcoin comes from the capital markets, not operations. So to fund these obligations, strategy relies on its at the market, or ATM, stock sales, basically issuing new shares directly into the market whenever it needs cash. So far, this has worked because the stock trades above its modified NAV, or MNAV. And each new share issued buys more Bitcoin per share, which investors like. Now, here's the problem. As the stock's MNAV compresses towards 1, and we are, let me check that again here. Yeah, we are at 1.2. So that's not far from the 1 level. So if we compress to 1, every new share buys less Bitcoin per share. And that turns the ATM from an accretive growth tool into a dilutive funding mechanism. So once investors start worrying that future issuances will destroy value, they rush to sell. And that selling itself pushes the MNAV even lower. So it's a self-reinforcing loop, just like a speculative attack on a currency peg. Now, even though MicroStrategy's Bitcoin reserves might remain intact, the confidence mechanism, so the ability to fund through share issuance, is what can break first. So if that happens, the company could be forced to sell Bitcoin not because of debt covenants, but to defend the equity narrative. Now, we all know he will never do that and so forth, but I'm not sure. So what does this mean? Strategy is no longer just a leveraged Bitcoin play, it's a liquidity confidence trade. So the key metrics you should watch here are: how is the modified NAV? If it drops below 1, the risk rises sharply. The ATM issuance, how much and at what levels, and also look at the preferred stock performance. So in other words, MicroStrategy now functions less like a software company and more like a macro experiment in reflexivity. But overall, I don't like it. And it's also a problem for the crypto market. Now, Bitcoin, you see, unfortunately, I hope we would hold the wedge. We didn't. We now also sliced through a very important 50-week moving average substantially. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more downside to the 17, even maybe 65K level. And think of it, we had also 50% drawdown in 21. But unfortunately, I think there's no quick way to resolve that. So even if we get a rally, and we will get a counter trend rally, it will be met with a lot of resistance, especially around the 100K level. So people will then sell if they haven't done it yet. And so I think we have to think of a longer consolidation before we can go up again, right? So there is something broken. We have to admit that. It's not bullish anymore. Yeah. And the only thing I'd like to highlight here is Bitcoin dominance is not going up. So in relative terms, relatively speaking, altcoins are holding up pretty well, although everything is crashing. I know that, but in relation to Bitcoin, it's doing better. And that's a sign. So a sign I have to watch. And also, if you look at our heat index, we are at 3%. Yeah, so in the extreme undervalued zone where we very often, or not very often, but there is a possibility that we get a buy signal, right? When we see improving, an improving of this trend to the downside, a trend exhaustion. But I rather expect something similar to here, where we are more in this sideways congestion zone, right? So it improves again, and then it goes back to undervalued levels before we can clear and everything is going to an all-time high. So some damage has been done. Overall risk markets are positive, but crypto markets, there is no easy way out at the moment. And so, yeah, be careful. I mean, selling now is, in relative terms, yeah, it's too late. You should have done that in the red zone. Now it's more about don't do stupid things. And if you have some money left and maybe a low allocation to crypto, think of maybe adding when we're getting this signal again. So thanks for watching. Again, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you next week.